What if the most chaotic, high-stakes part of your day was over before you even had your first cup of coffee? What if the key to an unbreakable mind wasn't to be found in hours of meditation or lengthy seminars, but in the first 300 seconds after you wake up? Most people treat their mornings like a frantic sprint. The alarm is an enemy. The phone is a reflex, a portal that immediately floods the mind with the demands, anxieties, and outrage of the outside world. They stumble out of bed and into a state of reaction, and they wonder why the rest of their day feels like a battle they are constantly losing. They believe they are too busy for stillness. This is a profound and dangerous error in judgment. It is precisely because the day will be demanding that you must first build its foundation. You wouldn't construct a skyscraper on soft earth, yet you attempt to build a productive and peaceful day on a mind left soft and unprepared. The practice I am about to share with you is an architecture for your mind. It is a 5-minute routine that builds your mental armor, your inner citadel, before the first arrows of chaos are even fired. Let's begin with the first minute. We call this premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This is not pessimism, it is strategic foresight. I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I was leading a team on a multi-million-dollar software launch. I had poured 2 years of my life into it. The morning of the launch, I woke up buzzing with a nervous, hopeful energy. I visualized success, the accolades, the market victory. When a critical server cluster failed just 30 minutes after we went live, my mind shattered. Panic set in. I was reactive, angry, and ineffective. My hopeful vision had made me fragile. Years later, facing a similar high-stakes product reveal, I began my day differently. In that first minute, I sat in silence and calmly rehearsed the worst-case scenarios. The presentation fails. The lead client objects. A key team member calls in sick. I didn't dwell on them with fear, but I acknowledged them as possibilities. I asked, and if this happens, what is my rational, calm response? When a minor technical glitch did occur that day, it felt expected. It was a known variable. My mind didn't spiral, it simply executed the plan. I had fortified myself against surprise. This is its practical application for you. When you wake up, spend 60 seconds considering the friction points of your day, the difficult conversation with a colleague, the backed-up traffic on your commute, the unexpected bill. Don't imagine them with anxiety, imagine them as a strategist. See them, nod to them, and rehearse your calm, virtuous response. You are not inviting disaster. You are stripping it of its greatest weapon, the element of surprise. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote that what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. By looking at it first, you rob it of that weight. So I ask you, are you starting your day building a fortress, or are you wandering out into the battlefield unarmed? What is one potential challenge you face today? And what would your most resilient, calm self do in response? In the second and third minutes of this routine, we move from defense to offense. We stop preparing for what the world might throw at us and begin deliberately choosing who we will be and what we will do. The second minute is for the contemplation of the sage. This sage is your ideal self. It is the person you are capable of being, the calm, wise, courageous, and disciplined version of you that exists as a potential within. The problem is, most people never consult this version of themselves. They consult their fears, their habits, their impulses. A young man I mentored, a brilliant project manager named David, was constantly overwhelmed. He was a slave to his email inbox, running from one manufactured crisis to another. He was busy, but he was not effective. He felt his career and his life were happening to him. I instructed him to dedicate the second minute of his morning to a simple question. How would the wisest, most capable version of myself approach this day? At first, it felt foolish, but he persisted. He started to visualize this sage David. This version wasn't flustered by demanding email. He didn't procrastinate on difficult tasks. He spoke with calm authority in meetings. Over time, by simply holding this image in his mind each morning, the gap between the two versions began to shrink. He started making choices, small at first, that aligned with his ideal. He was no longer just reacting, he was acting from a principle, from an internal compass. This is your task. Spend 60 seconds visualizing the person you want to become. See them. Feel how they would feel. Consider how they would carry themselves through the day ahead. You are setting your internal standard before the world has a chance to impose its own. This leads directly into the third minute, defining your chief task. The modern world is a conspiracy against focus. It bombards you with endless, shallow priorities. A Stoic mind cuts through this noise. Marcus Aurelius practiced what is often called the view from above, imagining himself looking down upon the world to see how small and insignificant most human endeavors are. From this perspective, you can distinguish the vital from the trivial. Your task is to identify the one thing, the chief task, that if you accomplish it today, will make the day a success, regardless of what else happens. It's rarely the urgent thing. It is almost always the important, difficult thing you are tempted to put off. It might be writing the first page of that business plan, having the honest conversation with your partner, or holding the boundary you've been letting slide. By defining it in the quiet of the morning, you are making a promise to yourself. You are telling your mind, this is our true north for the next 16 hours. This is how it looks in practice. After contemplating your ideal self, you scan the landscape of your day and ask, what is the one action that creates the most leverage, that aligns most closely with my deepest values? Your inbox can wait. The notifications can wait. Your chief task cannot. So reflect on this. Is your daily agenda a reflection of your own deliberate priorities or a collection of other people's emergencies? And who is the ideal you are striving to be? And what is one single choice you can make today to honor that ideal? The final 2 minutes of this mental architecture are the most profound. They require you to confront the two fundamental truths of your existence, that you do not control what happens, and that your time is finite. These truths do not have to be a source of fear. Understood correctly, they are your greatest sources of power and freedom. Minute 4 is dedicated to amor fati, a love of fate. This is not passive resignation. It is an active, enthusiastic acceptance of reality as it is. It is the understanding that every event, whether you label it good or bad, is raw material. My own crucible moment with burnout taught me this. For months, I fought it. I resented my failing health, the broken relationships, the financial loss. I saw myself as a victim of unfair circumstances. I was miserable and stuck. The change came not when my circumstances improved, but when my perspective shifted. I finally stopped fighting reality. I looked at the wreckage of my life and said, this is what is. This is the new starting point. This obstacle is now the path. It was the most liberating moment of my life. I began to see the burnout not as a punishment, but as a necessary course correction I was too stubborn to make on my own. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is amor fati in practice. The traffic jam isn't an obstacle to your day, it is a part of your day, offering a chance to practice patience. The difficult client isn't ruining your project, they are the project offering a chance to practice persuasion and resilience. For 60 seconds, you simply resolve to love whatever the day brings. You will not waste a single drop of energy wishing reality were different. You will accept what is, so you can act upon it with clarity and strength. This leads to the fifth and final minute. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. In our culture, this is a morbid thought to be avoided. For the Stoics, it was a vital tool for living. The awareness of death is not meant to paralyze you with fear, it is meant to energize you with urgency. It clarifies your priorities like nothing else. For years, I chased wealth and status, sacrificing my health and my family in the process. I operated under the delusion that I had infinite time to fix things later. It was only when I was forced to confront my own fragility that I understood the insanity of this bargain. The thought you could leave life right now, as Aurelius wrote, rules what you do and say and think. In this final minute, you are not to dwell on death morbidly. You are to use it as a filter. Look at your planned day, at your worries, at your ambitions, and hold them up against the fact of your mortality. You will instantly see the trivial for what it is. The fear of being embarrassed, the petty grudge, the desire for one more meaningless acquisition, they all wither in the face of this ultimate truth. This practice doesn't make you reckless, it makes you brave. It compels you to spend your limited time on what truly matters, your character, your relationships, your contribution. Take a moment now to ask yourself, what are you resisting in your life that you could be embracing as part of your path? And if this were your last day on earth, what would you immediately stop worrying about? And what would you make certain to do? So there it is. 5 minutes, 1 minute for strategic foresight. 1 to consult your ideal self. 1 to define your highest purpose. 1 to accept your fate. And 1 to remember your time is short. This is not a motivational trick. This is a training regimen. Philosophy, to the Stoics, was not a subject to be studied, but a way of life to be practiced, an ascesis. And like any form of training, its power lies not in a single, heroic effort, but in small, relentless, daily consistency. At first, this practice may feel mechanical or even absurd. Your mind will resist. It will tell you it's pointless. It will tell you to just check your email. This is the untrained mind fighting to stay in its comfortable chaos. Your job is to ignore it and complete the 5 minutes. I worked with a woman, an emergency room surgeon, who was nearing complete collapse from the stress of her job. She was brilliant, but she was a pure reactor, moving from one trauma to the next, fueled by caffeine and adrenaline. Her internal state was a mirror of the chaos in her ER. When I proposed this 5-minute routine, she scoffed. But she was desperate, so she agreed to try it for 30 days. The first week, she reported no change. The second, she felt a little less jangled in the morning. It was in the third week that the shift occurred. She faced a catastrophic multi-vehicle accident. The ER was overwhelmed. In the past, she would have been overwhelmed with it. But this time, she said, something was different. In the heart of the storm, she felt a small, quiet space open up in her mind. It was a moment of profound calm. She had rehearsed for chaos. She had consulted her sage self. She knew her chief task was to lead her team, not to panic. She acted with a clarity and decisiveness that she said saved at least one life that night. Her inner citadel had held. It wasn't built that night, it had been built, brick by brick, in those 5 minutes of quiet practice every morning. The key to making this last is to fuse it to an existing habit. This is called habit stacking. Do not rely on willpower. Link this routine to something you already do automatically. Perhaps you will do it immediately after your first sip of water, or right before you brush your teeth, or the moment your feet touch the floor. Anchor it to an existing behavior, and it will become one. This is the work. It is not glamorous, it will not produce overnight miracles, but it will, over time, fundamentally reforge the structure of your mind. You will cease to be a person who is tossed about by the winds of circumstance and become the person who calmly adjusts their sails. You will stop being an emotional reactor and start becoming a deliberate creator of your own inner peace and fortitude. The choice is yours. The chaos of the world is a given. Whether you build a shelter against it is up to you. I will leave you with this final question. Are you content to let your inner world be shaped by the random events of the day, or will you seize the first 5 minutes and become the architect of your own mind?